Hey, it's graduation day on office hours. What a better name and a better day. I'm here in New Orleans at my alma mater and just watched my daughter graduate from college. So it's been a special day and no better way to spend some time with some friends. Speaking of which, the unbelievable mentor of mine, Blaine Bartlett, learn.blainebartlett.com/LMM. We'll put up the mindset mastermind in a minute. But not only do we have Blaine and Dave on this, now we got Dan and John. And Daniel Snow, the Snow brothers, for the Snow Agency, and your business must be exploding, guys. And I thought maybe in the content production space, you could give us a little bit of insight on the nuance and the specificity of what you guys are doing with digital marketing and how exactly you see the trends rolling through the pandemic and on the other side.
Yeah, so we really see all aspects of digital advertising because we are the ones, we're full service. So we're the ones running the ads, making creative, shooting creative, editing raw content for ads, emails, SMS, essentially every side of performance marketing. So what we're seeing, especially now, is that now more than ever, creative is really the determining factor for having success online. John, if you want to talk a little bit more about how we structure that and whatnot.
Yeah, sure. So as Dan was saying, we're a full service digital marketing agency. We not only do the ads, we also do the creative and the creative content production, because right now digital advertising is 99% reliant on creative. If you do not have successful creatives or the means to get those successful creatives and a lot of those creatives, then you're simply not going to succeed in advertising. So right now, the Facebook algorithm has been favoring, broader, bigger audiences. So more of the focus has shifted from that micro targeting to creative focus. So if you have a ton of creative at your disposal and you have the means to test creatives on ads in a rampant fashion, so you have 20 creatives at your disposal per month to test, you're going to get through the losing creatives and find the winning creatives much faster, and that's how you're able to scale. So
John, just real quick here. Yeah, for those of us, the listeners here, I want you to define a term. When you're talking about creatives, what specifically are you referencing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So creative is a very general term for any video asset, picture asset, a GIF or GIF, however you want to call it. Any visually appealing thing that can be used in an ad on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, email, SMS. So in a Facebook ad, which, Facebook and Instagram ads are kind of like the bread and butter of digital advertising, but a lot more big players are coming into the space like Snapchat and TikTok. Video ads are really the hardest thing for any brand to really get a lot of those creatives. So in order to control that and get our clients as many creatives as possible, we launched our creative production studio so that we could control creatives and the amount of creatives that could be produced for all of our clients.
Hey, Dan, I got a question for you. So I graduated law school. I'm here at Tulane where I graduated in 1992. I did fairly well and received a job offer to be a admiralty lawyer, oil and gas litigator for a lot of money. And I told my mom I was going to work in the internet in 1992. What'd your mom say to Jonathan when he decided to tell her that he was going to be in digital marketing after spending all those years and all that money becoming a doctor?
Well, I was the one who kind of broke the mold first, so to speak. And then John came a few years after. So it already broke a lot of the
pain,
I guess shock, so to speak, from our parents. Yeah, I was met with just a lot of uncertainty and lack of confidence, really, in what I was going after. I got involved in social media, online marketing in 2012. So still, I think even now still is early stages, but it wasn't as kind of well known now as you can make a great living online through advertising, through social media, etc., and to kind of drop what I was pursuing at the time, which was dentistry. To do that just kind of didn't make sense. So my parents told me, along with John, actually, that I would be homeless in a year. Exact.
Hey, that's what we have in common, right? Doctor, lawyer, or failure. That's all I got.
My folks could never figure out what I'm doing, so that conversation was always. They couldn't say I was going to be homeless because they didn't know what I was doing. What's this consulting thing you do?
Blaine, they just knew you weren't working on the farm anymore. That's all they do, right?
That's all I knew. I wasn't working on the farm and I wasn't milking a cow.
At one point, my mom said the FBI is going to come after me. I don't know why. She didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
Just to give a lie to that opinion, I mean, it's interesting because, you just opened your third agency. I mean, your third office of the Snow Agency in Miami. So evidently, homelessness is not in the cards right now, would be my guess.
Yeah. That was a while ago. So now they're a lot more accepting of.
We proved the use case for sure.
Yeah,
the use case. Yeah. So for both of you guys here, just a real quick question. I mean, you've been doing this for a while. What would you say has been, if there was a secret, what's been the secret to your success? Because you're in a hyper-competitive environment. I mean, that market is, and David knows this better than I do, certainly. I mean, that market is really, really competitive. So what's been your go-to?
I would say flexibility and agility from our perspective. Online advertising in that whole space, you're relying on all of these platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Anytime there is a change in policy or a change in the algorithm, if you don't adapt and you're not agile and have a plan B or come up and can iterate your processes quickly, you're going to get left behind. So a lot of companies are kind of stuck in their ways and their principles. Dan and I can write a whole textbook on Facebook advertising now, publish it, and it's going to have to be rewritten in a couple months potentially. And what we're able to do is identify trends in the industry and iterate very quickly and roll out. And acting with urgency is everything. If we're too slow to adapt to the times, we simply get left behind. And I think our ability to really act with urgency for our clients and come up with processes for all the changes that occur on the daily basis here in the digital landscape, that's really the core of our success so far.
I think the other thing, knowing your agency, which doesn't prevail within the context of all the realms in which you're dealing with creatives and content amplification, perpetuation, is the word credibility. What I found building my own brand over these years and working with the biggest names, the Ed Milet's and Gary V's and in all of our experiences, whether it's internally or externally, dealing with people in this space, is there's no credibility because things move so quickly. People are not adaptable, they're not flexible, but most importantly, they're just not honest. They're overselling, back-end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating people out of more ignorance than bad intent. It's not a car salesman telling you the Rust-Oleum, you buy that underneath, knowing that you're never, ever, ever, and he's going to be gone out of that job if you ever do come in, because you do have rust under there, or whatever it is. But I see people, blowing smoke up my rear side because they don't know what they don't know, and they immediately lose credibility if they don't tell me, look, this is a learning process together, and I could write a book today on what I think we should do. But what I'm looking is a collaborative partner and leveraging, 10 years of situational knowledge, my intellect of the academic situations and experiences I've had. You guys do such a great job of managing expectations. How do you keep the credibility when we all know that nobody really knows an exact path? It's who's can be most efficient in learning, in continually learning.
So for one, I think it's interesting what we're doing in the agency space, in that typically, a lot of the time, people, especially in the direct consumer space, they make an agency, then they make their brand. That seems like a common transition. We actually went the opposite route. We built not one brand, but 7 different brands that had grossed over $1 million. Some that one, that had done 30 million, another had done 10, et cetera, et cetera. So we had already proven the model on multiple different verticals, against multiple different target personas prior to even making the agency. We had generated tens of millions of dollars for our own brands. So that's where our credibility comes from in the agency itself. And that's how we were kind of known in the space. Big reason why our agency has been able to grow so fast off that credibility. And now how we get continued credibility is really just presenting our case studies, what we're doing to grow our current clients, doing it through written case studies on our website, on social media, video interviews, kind of showcasing that our partners love. We make it really high quality and get them involved in it, get into their into their offices, warehouses, etc. Kind of show them behind the scenes, so to speak. So yeah, absolutely. People want that credibility, especially as an agency. Like you said, there's literally tens of thousands of agencies out there. It's very hard to differentiate yourself. And I think that through your actual work itself, which is, and here are the case studies, besides all the brands we've created, is what kind of we hold ourselves accountable to.
As you guys are talking, two things come to mind for me. One is, and this is certainly, I think, applicable to you, professionals don't compete, they actually innovate. And the whole notion around flexibility and adaptability really speaks to that. And the second piece, and it's kind of tied into it, I just did a TEDx talk this weekend, South Lake Tahoe. And part of the notion of that talk was that the purpose of business is to enhance the possibility of thriving. And what I'm hearing you say is that what you do is you get the possibility in front of your clients that enables them to at least think that they're going to be able to thrive as a consequence of working with you. Yeah. And that thriving distinction makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. What we do is we best position every brand and give them the best chance of succeeding. We have the framework. You come work with us. We have the blueprint to best position your brand for success in the digital landscape. And then to tail on what Dan was saying, another thing, so Dan mentioned a lot of that initial credibility. People want to come work with us because we've been there, done that with our own brands before we launched the agency. That's how we built all of these processes. It was done for our own brands. Now we're going to give it to your brands. But to maintain that credibility is through transparency. So one of our core values is transparency. A lot of these companies or marketers that people go out there and work with, they're just like, oh yeah, everything's going great, this and that. They don't like saying negative things to brands. Hey, your content right now is a huge weakness. We're not going to put your brand in the best position to succeed unless we get X, Y, and Z from you. Hey, your website is shit. Your website needs this done to it. A lot of people are very hesitant to saying those negative things, but we like to address that. We have total transparency. Listen to us. These are the things that need to be done. If you have the means for it, if you can't do it yourself, we can handle that for you. And then if you get these things done, you will best position your brand to succeed. And then that's how we get extra credibility. Then they're like, all right, wow, they actually know what they're talking about. We did all these changes they told us to do. And look, conversion rate doubled. So when we have that transparent conversation for our clients, they might not like to hear it up front, but, months later, they're thanking us. And our best clients, our most successful clients to date have been those clients who have listened to all of our suggestions, have been very open-minded, and now they're reaping all the benefits for it.
And last question real quick, do you feel, there's so many different platforms. Now I've broken down my content, whether you guys think it's good or not, it is what it is for me. But, I have a capture team that captures everything I do, and they're working on finding the best way to capture it. Then I have a modification team that modifies it for all the different platforms. Then I have an amplification team that figures out the strategy through advertisement and purchases and channel partnerships and organic micromanagement of other influencing directives that we have. And then I have a perpetual actual strategy, which I think my age and wisdom from traditional business puts me a step ahead of everyone. I always tell my team, look, every week that goes by is to my advantage because I've been in the traditional business so long and I understand the perpetual nature and the aggregation and the compound interest that exists within the context of business. So not only am I not quitting, but I'm investing into perpetuation of what I do. How do you decide if somebody, should be in one of all of those four places or all four, or even more importantly, do you suggest everybody put their content everywhere? Or are there some clients that you just say, look, you're fit for LinkedIn, you're fit for just SEO? Is there a differentiator? Because I'm of the belief everything everywhere. And, you put more money in certain places, but everything should go everywhere. What do you guys think?
So I think for organic, just like you said, there's no reason why not to repurpose your content, because it doesn't cost anything besides the editing. And if you already have a team doing the edits, you should be everywhere, because each platform has, different algorithms and whatnot, and you can just get the maximum reach by doing that. I do the same thing myself. For paid, it's a bit different. For paid, what we typically like to do, let's say it's a typical, a majority of advertisers, let's say, I like to prove concept initially on Facebook and search, because it's not necessarily like proving concept. They already have a lot of the demand. So we'll typically put clients on Facebook, then Google search and shopping. Once they prove concept on Facebook, what I mean by that, they find product market fit. They understand their true target personas. They can make content that resonates with that target persona, that then translate into profitability on the ads. Then we can scale that into the other platforms, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, etc. Because another thing that we have to be cognizant of is that each of the platforms are especially on the adverts for advertisers, are built on machine learning. You can only take full advantage of that if you're spending enough money, you're getting enough actions. Let's say you're optimizing for purchases. You have to get enough purchases in order to take advantage of machine learning. So if you're kind of spreading yourself thin on every traffic source just to get started, you're never going to really take full advantage of that machine learning and then really get your ads in front of the right people. So we like to start with one platform on paid social and then build out into others as we're gaining success.
Well, there's no reason and no question why you guys are so successful. Everybody can reach you at thesnowagency.com. Dan and John, thank you so much. Where else can people reach out to you? Because as you know, your business is overwhelmed with people who need you. So where can they find you?
I am on Twitter personally. I am Dan Snow. The Snow Agency is at the Snow Agency and all social medias. My email, Dan at the Snow Agency, if you wanted to reach out personally. John?
Yep, and then Twitter as well for me. Dan and I actually both post a ton of insights for direct-to-consumer and digital marketing stuff in general. So if you just want insights or even to reach us, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at Dr. Jonathan Snow. And we also have a couple private Facebook groups where we shed a lot of insights into our creative processes and creative ideas, and also our Facebook and e-commerce ideas as well. So we have 2 private Facebook groups there. You can search us on Facebook. Just type in the Snow Agency.
The Creatives That Convert is one of them. That's essentially our whole entire team of media buyers and creative strategists are constantly taking creative, analyzing it, creatives that we edit, creatives that we make in the studio, creatives that we just find online, analyze it, and everyone in the group can use that for inspiration and repurpose for their own ads. So it's completely free. We just like to, give other, kind of contribute, hopefully other people in the group can do the same. So Creatives That Convert is that group. And then, if you search the Snow Agency, you can find our other.
The other one is all things Facebook and e-commerce.
Awesome. Well, when we think of digital marketing, all I got to say is let it snow. Thank you, Snow Brothers. We appreciate you. Come back and visit me. Look me up. I always need some help and looking for some great insight on my own content. So
Same here.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. We got 2 prospects right here. Give us a call.
Awesome.
All right.
All
Bye-bye.
right, Dan and John, thanks
Thanks,
you
guys.
very much. I'm glad you guys stood up to your parents as I did, or else we'd be
Yes.
missing some quality individuals. Speaking of quality individuals, we have an extraordinary author, Jay Samit here. How are you, Jay?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, my
I love
goodness.
having you here. I've been looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, me too. I'm just, future proofing myself, future proofing you is exactly what we need to do. I was just talking about perpetuating content, which I believe is part of future proofing myself, utilizing certain IP and brands that exist today that never has before. You've worked with individual brands, the biggest in the world, the likes of Gates, Clinton, Popes, Spielberg, Jobs, Geffen, Branson, Allen, and have written other books as well. But, why talk about future proofing you today?
So my first book, Disrupt You, I spent 5 years telling everybody that, everybody gets disrupted. Don't have to make that argument anymore. I think the pandemic did a good job of that. But disruption isn't about what happens to you, it's about how you respond. And so if you look during the pandemic, the 150 wealthiest Americans doubled their net worth. There's a self-made billionaire every 26 hours now. So what are they doing differently? If you would have told me dozens of friends would have become billionaires, I would have said, what's a millionaire growing up? I had no clue. And what I did in future-proofing you that I thought was unique is some people just don't believe that they can do it. So I took a young immigrant who grew up on welfare, mentored him 1 day a week for a year. I gave him no capital. He had to start a business that took no capital, and I didn't open up any contacts. And he went from homeless to self-made millionaire in 11 months. So I distilled that training down to what I call the 12 truths. You follow these, you will have success. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm not selling anything. You can't buy coaching from me. You can't buy a t-shirt with my face on it. I'm just trying to pay it forward.
That's beautiful. So the idea of inuring myself to the future, future proofing. Yeah, that's an interesting type. Yeah.
You're going to have.
Yeah, go ahead.
We live in an era of endless innovation. Half of all jobs in the U.S. will disappear over the next decade. When you see self-driving trucks, you can understand truck drivers. You may not realize that AI is replacing most middle management. I recently stepped down as vice chairman of Deloitte. Accounting, audit will all be software. Most of the lawyer jobs. So it's white collar and blue collar. So unless you figure out how to turn this to your advantage and to take these opportunities to change, you're going to be roadkill. And the only people that create jobs are entrepreneurs. So why aren't we teaching people how to be successful?
Yeah. It's so funny you asked that. I was sitting at my daughter's graduation today, and with a Michigan graduate, my PR person that was with me. And, I'm looking through and I looked at him, I said, how much have you used calculus in your career?
Oh, it's so helpful during calculus season.
Yeah. And I said, is there one sale, my daughter graduated top of her class in the business school. And I asked her, I said, did you take one sales course? And I looked at the kid from Michigan. I said, did you take a sales course? No. I said, hey, Jake is my PR guy. I said, how much of your job involves sales? Right? And I'm like, it never took one sales course, graduating from one of the best universities, both of them. And yet they both are, did very well in calculus. I'm sure, several other courses they did very well. We have to rethink, as you are stating, our entire education system.
Hey, I have a son who graduated top of his class of Harvard Business School, and he said, Dad, you were right. I learned absolutely nothing there.
Yeah.
He went to have that line on the resume. Okay.
Fair enough, though, in the network.
You can't discount that. But I teach how to build a startup at the university level. I had students do $100 million in a semester. So you can show people. You only need two things to be successful: insight and perseverance. I can teach people how to fill a void, how to find the insight. Everything else can be hired. People don't realize Steve Jobs built $1 trillion tech company, couldn't read a line of code if his life had depended on it, okay? Right. You can hire people to do that, okay? I started my first company with $1. I got out of college. There were no jobs. There was this movie called Star Wars. I go, oh, that would be fun to do Hollywood special effects. I knew nobody in Hollywood. I knew nothing about special effects. So for $1, I printed business cards for my made-up company. It's called Jasmine Productions, J. Allen Samit. It was mine. But I knew nobody would put their feature film in the hands of a 21-year-old, so I just made myself head of sales, to your point, David. Went out and hustled. The people that couldn't afford Lucas and ILM got projects, and then I hired people that knew how to do the work. And I've built companies that you use every day. I worked with Reid Hoffman to launch LinkedIn. I did the first auction that became eBay. I mean, I built billion-dollar companies. I've run billion-dollar companies. I've sat in the empty room. And you can notice a pattern, and that pattern can be taught, and it's within the reach of anyone, and it is the best time in history to launch something. Because what the pandemic also proved is you don't have to live 5-10 miles from the people that you're hiring. Yep. You used to be limited to hiring the best people in your village, right? Now you can hire the best people on planet Earth. And your customers don't have to be down the street. Your customers are one click away. You're one click from 7 billion people. You only have to be right for a nanosecond to become a millionaire or change the world. So I can teach you how to have insights. I can show you how to cultivate your perseverance into passion. And if you want to recruit good people, if you want to get loyal customers, it's really about solving a problem. Entrepreneurs don't sell things, they solve things.
Problems.
No one ever went into a hardware store to buy a 1/4-inch drill bit. What they wanted was a 1/4-inch hole.
I love that.
They bought the drill bit. So
I can't believe I've never heard that. I love that.
So
Yeah,
what you really have to do is look for a void. That's one of the 12 truths, truth number 8. And here's the advantage of void. When I first got out of college, I realized the second you apply for a job, that job already existed, which means other people have held that job, which means you were not the most qualified for that job and you don't deserve it, nor will you ever get it. Sounds kind of defeating. But if you do something no one else is doing, by definition, you're the best in the world at what you're doing. So now you just have to defend it for as long as you can. And that's what I did with this young man. He wanted to do social media like everybody else. Well, there's 40 million people doing it. And, no one's going to go to some kid couch surfing and say, hey, we're Coca-Cola, please take over our social media. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, so I said, look at what's in the news, what's something new that nobody's focused on, and make yourself the expert of that. Get your first client, even if they're for free, and now you do what they teach you in Harvard Business School. You now have a case study. So the same clients who paid them $500 a month that first month, new clients were paying them $30,000 a month by month 3. And I don't want to see democracy fail, and that's why I dedicate my life to this. We need people to rebuild the middle class. It got wiped out by the pandemic. And so I put everything I could think of in here, including how to find mentors. You can't do it alone. The myth of the self-made man. I used to run the world's largest music company, EMI, head of, home of the Beatles and Pink Floyd and on and on and on. And we used to, you have an artist on the stage, there's 100,000 people screaming, and you feel like that guy made it on his own. It's just him and you singing from his heart. What you don't see is the dozens of songwriters, producers, musicians, agents, managers, roadies. It takes a whole team. So why do you think that you're supposed to know everything and be able to do it on your own? And if you believe that there is abundance, then there are people that want to help you. So back to school, the biggest complaint I have with the educational system is in 4th grade, here's how they taught business. Jay buys a banana for $1. I sell it to David for $2, and that's how I make money. While mathematically accurate, that assumes a zero-sum game like poker. There's only so much money. And if I don't get David's and you get it, and we're going to fight, and then they're taking our jobs, and this country's taking our jobs, and you have this dog-eat-dog miserable life. On the other hand, if I go, hey, David, my last company I sold for $200 million. I'm starting a new one. I'll sell you 10% for $10,000. What do I now have? I have $10,000 in cash, $90,000 in stock that I can hire people with, buy things with, trade things with. I made that $90,000 out of thin air. That's where wealth comes from.
Yep. Yeah.
Why don't we teach this?
Well, because Industrial Revolution. I'm going to answer a rhetorical question here, but the Industrial Revolution called for workers that would fit as cogs in a production wheel.
And that's what we're still teaching.
That's what we're still teaching. It is absolutely anachronistic. I mean, it doesn't work in today's world.
We teach people enough so that they can read and write. And by the way, we pay them enough just to show up, but not enough to care.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Beautiful.
You wake up one day and you're trading a day of your life for a job you don't care about, a week of your life, a year of your life. You're going to wake up and you gave up the most precious gift you'll ever have, your life. For what?
Yeah, what are you dying for? I mean, literally, what are you dying for each day?
When I speak all over the world, when I speak in front of large crowds, the line that you can hear a pin drop is when I ask people, are you living life or just paying bills until you die?
Mm-hmm.
And it hits people in the gut because for most people, they don't see a path out.
Right.
And the path is in front of them because if you have problems in your life, that's why I wrote Disrupt You, you're halfway there. Because if all that an entrepreneur does is solve problems, other people have the same problems you do. And it doesn't have to be a giant one. In future-proofing you, my favorite example, simple. Every parent can relate to this. It's the middle of the week, 10 o'clock at night. Your daughter's making a poster board for her presentation in school tomorrow, and she screws it up. And she's like, Mama, please go back to the supermarket. Please buy me that. So the mom comes back, but this time she's not going to do this twice. She takes a ruler and makes thin lines on it so her daughter can do straight. In the morning, this woman calls her sister and goes, why don't they sell poster board with lines on it? Make a long story short, she got a patent, went to the biggest manufacturer of poster board, and she makes $5 million a year.
Yeah.
You don't have to invent the flux capacitor.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Jay, I start off a lot of my speeches saying, are you living your life like a tube? And I think, future-proofing you takes it to the next level, right? Your life is not just about eating and pooping, right? Don't live your life as a tube. Live your life for your future, protect your future by, as you stated quite clearly, right? Being creative and curious and taking every possibility, turning into a probability, and then making that your reality. You don't have to fit into the tubular mode of our future that has been presented since the Industrial Revolution. Where can people find, besides jsamit.com, where can they find this book and these 12 lessons, which I definitely am going to study, and I'm going to rewatch this. You'll probably hear your incredible lines. I'm apologizing right now if every time I use your two beautiful lines, you don't hear your name next to it. I'm apologizing now, but I love nobody goes into a hardware store looking for a 1/4-inch bit, right? They want a 1/4-inch hole. That is genius beyond belief.
So you can get it anywhere. I'm Audible. It was the #1 new release on Audible. It's on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you get your books from. And if you want to start learning, get the most out, if you go to jsamit.com, I have free workbooks for both Disrupt You and Future Proofing You. So a lot of times you get all this information at the end of the chapter. You go to the next chapter, it goes out one year. You can start writing out your life plan. Again, there's no upsell here. There's nothing else. And I also have in Future Proofing You, I map out that there's a new $1 trillion opportunity that no one is ahead of you on. And if you realize that Microsoft is a client and Google's a client and Facebook and Apple are clients, the way to predict the future is to hang out with the people that are coding it. I can tell you exactly where they're spending tens of billions of dollars. Why wouldn't you want a piece of it? Think back 10 years ago. Could you guys live without your phones? Could you run your business without your smartphone? Yeah, in the first year that it came out, let me tell you the two best-selling apps in the App Store for the iPhone. The Fart app, made sounds, and a game with cats, which means you could have come up with OpenTable or Robinhood or Uber, the thousands of other businesses. We spend 5 hours a day on these phones. And yet, 2 years from now, your phone will never leave the pocket. You'll have everything on a heads-up display. So why not start building those apps if these guys are spending all the money to do the hard part? Put the 5G network, the edge computing. I mean, one of the clients that I mentioned, I can't say who because I'm under NDA, has working contact lenses. When people ask me how do they work, I go, it's witchcraft. You don't have to know that. I do a lot of business overseas. I don't know how planes work. I didn't have to figure that part out.
Yeah.
So that the heavy lifting's done for you. Why wouldn't you take control of your destiny and live the life that you deserve as opposed to the one that people thought that they would give you?
I love it. Well, thank you, Jay. You're incredible. We got to have you back for more. You are a source of true inspiration and empowerment and helping Blaine and I with my mission, which is empowering over 1 billion people to be happy, to make more money, help more people, and have more fun. The future of you and Disrupt You. And
one last thing before I hop off.
Yes.
I didn't expect to do this, and I haven't announced it yet. So in the next 2 weeks, we'll announce it. But I love you guys. A bunch of readers reached out. Everybody said, "Why don't you mentor me? I'm a old lady. I'm a one-eyed guy that juggles." I mean, like everybody wants to be the next person, and I'm not doing that again. But what I decided to do is we're setting up Jay Samit Millionaire Facebook group. It's free. We're going to take 1,000 people and turn them into millionaires over the next 12 months. So.
Oh, well, you're just gonna get a rush of people now. That is awesome.
Well, they have to do the work. I mean,
I'm gonna make myself a billionaire. I've made over 100 million in my life. I need to make 1 billion. So I bet the same rules apply to me. I'm sure.
It's so much easier to make $1 billion after you've made 100 million. It's much easier because you understand scale.
I told my wife that when I lost 100 million, I said, now it's going to be really easy to make $1 billion now that I learned that lesson. So,
wait, and you kept the wife? That's a lesson I'd want to learn. Oh.
If you met her, you know why. She's blind and deaf.
Why?
Yeah, she's blind and deaf, number one. So that helped. Anyway, just kidding. I have the most amazing wife next to Blaine. So I'm blessed. That's all I got to say.
Well, guys, thanks for helping me help people, and keep doing what you're doing.
Jay, love the conversation. Would love to continue it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Take care, my friend.
Congrats. Beautiful. Oh, wow. All right. I got one more quick question and then the takeaway of the day, Blaine, and then we got to get back. I got to get back to graduation for Marissa. She's having a ball. And,
I know she is.
We got AJ up here, President CEO at Sky Postal Inc., leading private mail and parcel delivery network in Latin America, and obviously expanding and accelerating what is a huge space. AJ, welcome to Office Hours. You have a question for Blaine and I.
I got to tell you, just let me say, Jay was outstanding. I was listening to the show. He is big time. I'll tell you what.
That's the way we roll, baby. Makes you want to go out and get that book.
Makes you want to go out and get that book. My goodness. It just his couple of lines. And that screw thing, but he talked about the screw. I said, wow, it blew my mind.
Me too. I was like, I can't believe I hear everything. I've never heard that.
I mean, he made me think. I go, my goodness, if he's that good, I'm going to get his book.
Yeah, I'm gonna join his group. I'm gonna make $1 billion.
Me too. I'm gonna get on the Facebook right there.
Yeah.
So
AJ, real quick, you got a question for us, my friend?
I'm gonna ask you guys a question because I've been asking this to a lot of business owners and a lot of friends of mine that have businesses. How are you going to handle coming back to work? What is your thought? What are your thoughts on bringing your employees back to the office? Because we've basically kept our administrative and finance functions working from home since March of last year. So I've been asking everybody to get their opinions because I've gotten so many different opinions. I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Blaine, you're first. Go ahead.
I'm going to just lead with this one. Honest to God, AJ, ask him, you're coming back. What would you love us to be doing right now? And in that context, what would you love to be doing? You're going to be back in harness here. But to Jay's point, I mean, you're going to be dying every day. Literally, each of us dies every day.
Right.
And what am I dying for? Is it worth it? So, yeah, you're going to want money. You're going to want this. But what would you love to be doing in the context of what we do as an organization? And then just see where that answer takes you.
I love that. And for me, AJ, number one, I think we have to redefine work. And I've been doing this for years, but it's more effective now than ever. I try to empower my associates, partners, employees, et cetera, with activity. I think when we are active, Blaine being my mentor, taught me early on about movement and action and activity. But when we can clearly re-engineer our own vision of activity we get paid for and activity we don't get paid for, and then allow for options, because all an office is a physical location for activity. And I think Silicon Valley shifted the paradigm of what activities were allowed or appropriate or incentivized into the office space, ping pong and snacks and, and movies. It's changed since I started out of law school. Yeah. And like Jay said, I'm hoping Blaine can help me with the line, but, we know that over 90% of the people aren't engaged because people literally go, what do you say, Blaine, go to work to survive. What was it? The line he used?
They're going to pay their bills. They're going to work to pay their bills.
Pay bills, right? They're tubes. I always say they're tubes, which is why I can't remember. But I love the way that he put it. So I think coming back is an opportunity to produce more activity to get paid for, so that you have more opportunity to have other activities that you don't get paid for. Right. And, that's a very simple equation. And I think the remote workers should have options and opportunities and control of when, where, and how they utilize the office, and asking them, like Blaine suggests, how would you like to use this office space? Because we have it. And let's figure out the activities that we get paid for together. And also what activities we don't get paid for that we might be able to utilize our office space for to make us more engaged, to want to be there, not want to get paid.
Just to take a real quick riff on this one. Starbucks, my daughter works for Starbucks, has, for 20 some odd years now, main office here in Seattle, iconic office, just this beautiful, gorgeous place. Nobody's been there for a year. I mean, literally, nobody's been there for a year. They've remodeled the office. And what was interesting is, as things are starting to open up again, they've given employees an option. The ones that have worked in the headquarter office, 3 options: work from home, a hybrid, work from home and work here, or come into the office. You get to choose.
Oh,
you get to choose.
I got to tell you that one thing that I saw with this, and it's a quality of life issue. We used to, at least I did, being an entrepreneur and having my business, I had my work fit around my life. Now I have my life that fits around my work. I'm making things. I'm more productive. I work from home, and I see that my employees are the same way, and they're happier. So,
and AJ, remember, physical space does not define whether it's activity you get paid for or not. You'll see the same conversion. We're already seeing it, and there's a shortage of homes, but you're seeing in the convertible nature of our homes, home gyms, right? Home gyms, home offices, home, like all the stuff that you can have activity to get paid for at home, activity you don't get paid for at home. I think the same shift will occur with the office spaces that we have, including very large companies converting some of their office space to home type of work facilities where, you sign on as a young executive with Morgan Stanley or SAP or Oracle, and here's a 2-bedroom condo that, believe it or not, is interconnected with my company. And then you come up 3 floors and we have conference rooms, Zoom facilities, etc. But your actual home is connected to the office in the same office building, because we can't fill the office building anymore with cubby holes and employees. So let's convert these into condos.
That's brilliant.
And talk about perceived value. If you're in a city and you're giving as a bonus, look, your rent is included in your pay.
Wow.
Your internet's included
Fantastic
in your pay.
idea.
And just walk upstairs when you got a face-to-face meeting, or take the elevator and look, this is happening anyway. It's just going to get aggregated. I definitely got to go, though. I appreciate you, AJ. I always bring my personal activity into the office hours, as Blaine knows. We'll come off a boat with some tequila in our breath. We don't care. This is about educating and empowering people. And I got a graduation party to go to. I stayed sober for this all day.
Hey, don't rub it in. Don't rub it in.
I love you.
It's 5:30 here on the East Coast, man. I'm ready to go have a drink now. It's happy hour.
I'm in New Orleans. 4:30 in the afternoon's like 11:30 at night here, man. So I'm ready to go.
Hey, I'm gonna go on your schedule.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. That was fantastic. What great insights. Keep it up.
Thank you, AJ. You got to come and join us again. Reach AJ, skypostal.com. Come join us again.
Happy to do it, gentlemen. Be good. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Great job. All right, Blaine, take away for the day, my buddy.
Hey, I'm going to go looking for holes, and then I'm going to sell somebody what it needs to be to make that hole. I mean, that metaphor is just great.
It's huge. In mine's, I'll take his other one because it applies to everyone, right? Don't be a tube.
Yeah, don't be a tube. That's yours. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, don't be a tube. Your life is not about putting food in the mouth and pooping it out the other side. There's a lot more, whether you're learning to love the activity you get paid for or learning to love the activity you don't get paid for. Our engagement level is so low. If you can get people to engage and care about being there, far, far greater value than any skill you could teach them, any capability that you could have for your company, your product, solution, or service. Let's not be tubes, everyone. Let's all go in and look for the hole, as Blaine and Jay have stated. Find Mindset Mastermind Blaine. Learn.blainebartlett.com/LMM. Blaine, thank you so much for joining me. Marissa sends her love and appreciates you. We love you. Thank you, my friend.
You take care, buddy. Love you. Take care.
You. All right, everyone. That's it. I'm going to a graduation party. It's 4:30 here in New Orleans. We are on it. Remember, tomorrow, Clubhouse, 6 a.m. Pacific time, and training is a very pragmatic one. Travel tips. Personal, professional travel tips. Take advantage of the 200 days of travel that I've done over the last 35 years since I graduated law school. Not necessarily the last year, but I have codified some of these lessons. We're going to run down them and then do Q&A as always. Thank you to my extraordinary guests. What a day. And most importantly, thank you to Blaine Bartlett. Learn BlaineBartlett.com/LMM. Search.dmeltzer.com if I'm not available. If you want my 5 daily practices, it's David@dmeltzer.com. My books, my guides, my exercises, ebook, audiobook. I'll sign a book, send it to you, and ship it to you. David@dmeltzer.com. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow.